For those who know about NISA Globe, or my role in NISA Globe, basically I have to answer people at various stakeholders. So more often I keep answering because the questions would what come to me and I don't have an answer for every question, but I still try to answer convincingly as much as I could. But here he told me instead of being a speaker, why don't you be a moderator? I thought this was an excellent opportunity because the questions that comes on my way, I can put it across to you so that I'll get to know the answer which I need to speak to my people when those questions come across. So thank you very much. So before that, I thought, basically, I do not know what was questions which we had in mind, but since we've been hearing from the morning, yeah. I'm sorry? Yeah, I know that there have been questions given, but I thought, with your permission, basically because I've been hearing since morning. Yeah, I know. Since morning, we have been hearing the challenges and concerns. So, and basically I'm sure people have heard it a lot. So instead of spending time in terms of hearing the challenges and concerns, basically as a stakeholder, and we don't have a choice, we have to be here and we are going to operate. How do we address that is what I thought that we will take it forward. If that is fine with all of you, so then probably yes. And I will also pick up a point which the digital platform, the earlier speakers spoke about. I said I will not talk about NISA Globe, but I couldn't resist basically because the discussion happened, so I have to put it across, excuse me, for 2 minutes. So basically, we used the digital platform during the post-pandemic very effectively. When the pandemic happened, and immediately the transportation of the chemical industry was stuck. And we do not know what to do with that and how do we need to address that. So NISA Globe platform, where we have about 70 plus companies and we track about 10,000 plus trucks on a daily basis, plus 150,000 drivers as a database. Now, this information, basically, as I said, we are operating for more than one company, so we are not associated with any one particular company. Now, when the vehicles were coming to a destination, we were able to provide that information to those companies which are located out there, that this is the vehicle which has come to your place and this is defensively trained driver. Because in the case of an hazardous chemical goods, you need a driver who is defensive driving trained. So we were able to provide that insights to the industry and so that they could really put this vehicle back into the system. We provided the telephone number, we provided the transport details so that the things can move, not to stop. So this was something which I wanted to bring it across because we spoke about it and there is already a platform which has been operating for it and we have been doing it for a while now. So with that, I'll just get on with it. So let's start with you. Now, we heard the problems like regulatory as it may and issues as, we have a problem with the trucks, we have a problem with the drivers, we have a problem with ecosystem. So let's get into the solution straight away. So what do you mean? This is the environment. So what is it as a stakeholder we need to do so that we can overcome this challenge?
So I think you must be enjoying once changing the table. First time you are asking questions rather than giving answers. So you must be enjoying. So whatsoever you are saying, that is perfectly fine because once problems are there, that's why we are here. And once we are into the business, so problems will remain every time. And especially once we are talking for a business, somewhere around 200 odd billions, and we are somewhere around among 5-6 largest manufacturers of chemicals. But still, do we have to manage this kind of a volume where we have more than 70,000 odd products in nature, B2B, B2C, specialty, basic chemicals, agrochemicals. But we don't have any specialized tailor-made resources available at this point of time to handle such a great complexity. We learned supply chain from Ford. Then revolution came by means of Dell. But we never heard in any of the course about the chemical manufacturing or transportation or supply chain. Recently, I heard somewhere around in Gujarat, they have started a course especially on port management. So it is happening right now. And the size of industry is quite big. And the complexity is much more whatsoever FMCG and even though the other industries which are way ahead from this industry. If we talk about this thing problem, so problem is what? We are somewhere around 25% of accidents during transportation only. And out of transportation, if we talk about, so more than 35% because of the instrument, means either vehicle breakdown or some other instrument breakdown. 35% due to human errors. Still we are talking GPS. GPS is the only and only you can see because at this point of time there is no availability of driver. You will track once somebody is available because we are asking ki yes, we will just analyze the data for next 6 months. 6 महीने में तो वो 3 बार job change करता है. So problem is to make the entire ecosystem in sync rather than seeing it in silos. Because earlier it used to be, not only in this thing, in other industries also, supply chain was the cost center. But at this point of time, supply chain is not a cost center. Supply chain is a business enabler. And supply chain is in the center of the business, who is managing upstream as well as downstream. At one point of time, it is just managing the entire operations. My operations should be at optimum cost. At the other point of time, the same team is managing, my customer should be fulfilled with the optimum cost. Over and above, the complexity burden, because raw materials are similar, providers are similar, my raw material cost is similar. Among the competitors, once we were discussing, once we were talking, we should have something where we should talk about as an industry perspective. It will become more complex then. My suppliers are similar, my buying power is उसने X price पे खरीदा है because वो X volume लेता है, आपको X minus 1 पे मिलना है. Even though we are into B2B, my sale price is also fixed as per my ranking into the business. So the entire efficiency, because you are not able to compromise on a this thing, raw material prices, you are not having space to increase your sales prices, so you have to build efficiency within the system whatsoever you are running. And as somebody said in the last thing, something you should have, something you must have. So at this point of time, digitalization as well as linking end-to-end, demand-led supply chain. Once I am talking, I am going to plan to sell, not selling, plan to sell within next 6 months this. The entire team start working from that point to make, yes, आज से 6 महीने बाद में, this is going to happen. With the error prognosis, yes, you completed last time, and this might be plus, minus, and all those things on the basis of data, and this cannot be done manually. This needs a complete digitalization and number of permutation, combination, error prognosis, and then you can believe that this data is being used for the decision making. Because half-cooked data you can use in dashboard for tapping your back, yes, we have done something by means of digitalization. But once you start taking decisions on the basis of data and then taking your intellectual, whatsoever you have learned during the experience, and then after taking this decision on the basis of your data and your intellectual capacity, and then analyzing after 3 months or 6 months, whatsoever data, whatsoever decisions you have taken, how much those decisions are effective, then slowly, slowly your system as well as your dependency on people will start reducing. And the entire system starts working in a sustainable way where you can say, yes, churning will be there, but we can ensure that this much consistency in system will be available.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. I think I mean, you spoke about two or three things. One is the enabler, supply chain is the enabler. Second is the optimum cost. Mitesh, you represent one of the fastest growing chemical company, and it's been happening for the last 25, 30 years. Am I audible? I mean, in case you are not, please. Obviously, you have been doing quite a few things right. So, which is what has brought you to wherever you are. So, from the supply chain perspective, there are many initiatives which would have been done by yourself, which would definitely be working well, right? But having said that, do you think that, whatever that Mr. He spoke about should remain within the domain of your own company, or a community-based initiative in terms of optimization, in terms of knowledge sharing, in terms of the best practices, so that the ecosystem itself improves, which is what we are all talking about. Rather than the challenge is basically we are talking about the challenge. I'm talking about the solution. So as an ecosystem to develop, what is your thought process, and how do you think that we can go together to make it happen?
Sure. Thank you for that question. What I had done was also jotted down some points so that I am able to address those things. So just to share the sheer magnitude of the materials we move about 4,500 metric tons of hazardous chemicals domestically from within our supplier to our manufacturing plants to customers, and also from our plants to the ports. So what has happened is there is an ecosystem, and we rely upon the third-party sources as much as possible. At the same time, we've had to invest in solutions dedicated to us to be able to ensure we get the right levels of whether it is safety, compliance, whatever. It is as per our need. So we have a dedicated fleet of more than 400 vehicles which manage materials,
Dedicated.
It is dedicated, it is not owned. I mean, financial arrangement is separate, but it is dedicated, works only for Aarti. We have a dedicated fleet of more than 350 ISO tanks with which we, export materials and bring those tanks empty, because we do not want to run the risk of, that tank being cleaned somewhere and there being other hazards. So we manage that reverse logistics also ourselves and so on. So these are things that we've been doing, and at the same time working with the community to, improve incrementally each year. So I would like to share some initiatives that we've done over the last 12 to 18 months. We now have started focusing a lot more on the entire data generation for chemical stability. So for certain basic chemicals, etc., data would generally be available elsewhere in literature or whatever. But for the products that we are manufacturing, and sometimes also downstream for our customers, which is the intermediates and the specialty actives, not enough data is available in the public domain. So we have invested in all of this ourselves to do both process stability and generate data for the process as well as for the storage, because transportation of chemicals would invariably involve storage at your site, at any intermediary storage points, whether it is warehouses or stock locations, and also at the customer side. Today, through this conference, I would also like to share that as a company, we would want to open this up to any partner in the industry, whether it's our supplier, our customer, or anybody else who wants to, get data for their products, the stability data. They want to understand how do such products interact with the materials of packaging and so on and so forth. Our scientists are available, our facilities are available at Navi Mumbai R&D lab to be able to do this. Similarly, we have on our own invested in a packaging lab. So that is where we do studies because we have materials which are extremely hazardous. So, just inhaling the vapors and the person could get cyanosis. So how do we ensure that the packaging of such materials in solid form is such that there is no volatile organic, exposure during storage or during transport? What we've started doing is regular training and updates on the entire IMDG and IATA guidelines, which ensures that our teams are updated and a lot of ideas and solutions come from the ground level. So Professor Yadav, when he was talking about the conditions at which the drivers currently operate, yes, it's a reality that the same driver moves from location A to B and back. What we've tried to ensure is during this journey, how do we at least make it is peaceful? So at the night time, providing areas for rest for the drivers at our site so that they have a hygienic, clean place to spend the night and then again resume their duties in the morning. A lot of times we see drivers cooking their food within the vehicle or close by somewhere. So ensuring that food is available to the drivers, to our driver partners and so on and so forth. So yeah, with these kind of things, these are the small initiatives that we are doing in terms of improving. We are looking forward to the industry support. I mean, as long as the standards get adopted by the industry, it is the best for us. A lot of times, what happens is we have our own checklists in terms of what is okay, what should the person at the gate check, whether that particular vehicle is appropriate for us to take in and then load a chemical or not. And if it is non-compliant, that person just stops. And then there are calls and escalations to me or to my team members sometimes. Then the transporter is saying, how dare you, hold my vehicle or hold my driver for want of this compliance. And a lot of times we work with them and tell them that, we really need a fire extinguisher to be available in your vehicle if you want to transport this chemical. This time, I will just give you this fire extinguisher. We will invest in your vehicle, we will invest in you, and in the future, please ensure whenever you come to us, you bring this. Sometimes there is improper labeling, even for the suppliers. When they are supplying materials, let's say some imported materials and so on. So we ensure that the labeling is given to them. Those stock labels for the materials are available with us. We just give it to them, just stick it and use it, and so on. So we have to work together as an industry partner. We have to upgrade, and each company, as they start asking for the right things, I'm sure the network is also, the entire, transportation logistics service providers is also up their game. So,
Thank you. Just curious, what's
Yeah.
the percentage of your logistics cost to your, if I may know?
So I would not have the latest of the updated numbers, but it will be somewhere around 10 to 12%
Okay.
of the top line.
Okay, I think government of India is talking about 10%, so probably you're there. Right. Okay, but best of the companies operate around 8%. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Captain, I just wanted to check with you, since you are about the ports, and there is a lot of things that are happening in the ports of India now. I presume so. Right. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So, how would what is that you feel? I mean, there is a concern because our products are there in the port, and it is being stored, and the way it is being stored, there's a challenge for us. Now, basically, these are the companies which are doing it. So, what do you think that we need to do to make sure that our product reaches the desired destination quite safely?
Thanks. Let me just put things in a clear perspective. I've been in the shipping business for a while now, all right? And it's okay. I've been in the shipping business for a while now. Well, things can end. Most of the challenges have been already addressed by Professor here and all the previous speakers.
So we are talking solutions.
Yeah, now we are talking solutions. Solutions is very simple. I use a simple thing. The challenges are only with compliance and safety. Rest everything, Indian ingenuity will take care of it all. Solutions provided by IT, solutions provided by IT, they are still at the fringes. As we know, chemical industry is a fragmented lot. There is, someone beautifully said, it is from one end of the spectrum to, you have the biggies like the Reliances and the Birlas and what have you, and you have more than 40% is all the MSMEs and the traders who make up a huge lot. Now, where do we go in it? The simple thing, my answer on the practical aspect, please pardon me, it is simple, the attitude. If we stop that chalta hai attitude, everything falls in place. He talked about beautiful things like, he says, you don't have an extinguisher, I'm going to give an extinguisher. Here, I don't want to talk about it, this is where the problem says, Are chodo na yaar, aage chal do. What is it? We say transportation, we have a simple thing. When you go through a number of intermediaries all across, we can talk about digital, all those things are, well, sounds, I'm not belittling anything of that. Reality, when it comes to what is it, do you really sensitize the entire supply chain? That's the most important thing. Storage. Now we talked about how are we doing. Before coming into port, let's start right at the beginning. We are talking about exports first, all right? Right at your own warehouse, where you are manufacturing. You have rightly pointed out various ingredients. You have barrels here, you have cartons there, you have all the things. Is all these various things, are they segregated properly as per IMO? Is your warehouse properly? You could have your certification. You could have a certification. You and me know how it happens. It's much more easier. All right? Certification, compliance in practicality and reality. That is two different acts. How can it change? Only by the attitude of every manufacturer and an exporter and a trader. If the manufacturer says, if he say that I will not give it to you for the trader or exporter unless you show that all your systems in place, do you feel responsible? End of the day, you want to take your credit, export credit. You are passing on to a trader or a thing who is merchant exporter who is exporting. It's fine. It's all part of the game. But are you sensitizing? Make sure that are you going to be safe? Thing one. Likewise, is it, when it comes into when it is transported, have you sensitized the driver? Have you sensitized the transporter of the hazardous thing? Have you shared the real MSDS of the product? Have you shared the emergency procedures? What happens is small spillage, major spillage, accident, incident, what have you? You have the full set all across. Have you shared all those things? This is where responsibility. So again, point the same thing. Even at port, we have had, or at the warehouse in various CFS, we had incidents where class 2 is stored next to class 5, or whatever it is. I don't have to go into specifics. We all understand the business. We can take that offline. This is where the basic thing comes. How do we do all these things? Best practices are available all across globally. Yeah. It is available, everything. Knowledge is there. But implementation is the serious thing. How do we do it in Le Havre? Very simple. We say there is the port committee system where everything, this is what is digital solution. Yes. Along with that, you cannot have everything in that thing. For reefer, you need to have a specialization. Likewise, for chemicals, you need to have a special add-on to that to say that declarations are mandatory right from A to Z. Right along that thing. Along with the port community system, you need to have, that is what is done. And the most important thing, this I want to add on this. We are talking about supply chain, securing, compliance, safety. How will it possible? We are talking about PCI PR. All those things we are talking about it. Nobody is talking about a simple things like, is the chemical cluster or an industrial cluster self-complementary? Are we reducing the carbon footprint? For example, the raw material, the output of one is the raw material for others, reducing the carbon footprint rather than coming all the way from Vizag into this one. Or from those. When the policy goes on to that aspect, that is where it is. It is self-sustaining, and from that it goes directly to the port. He manufactures deeper fertilizer. His input is from ammonia, so an ammonia manufacturing plant should be close by. So that is where it goes in. This is what we should look at. This is not rocket technology, this is simple logic. This is one. And second thing is, where is the commitment of the industry? Where is the commitment of the industry as a whole? You, as a member of Indian Chemical Council, probably you'll understand what I'm talking about. Where is the commitment of the industry as a whole to say, we will together do it, ensure that everything is done in a safe way? It is not, government is not going to do anything of this sort. Over the years, 75 years have passed by. The Gati Shakti, I was also there recently and there. Everything is fine. They are only an enabler. I would like to call them facilitator. They are basically only regulators. All right? They will only, but the main thing, you have to do it yourself. If you safeguard your own thing, you have your excellent thing, as you said, like you're going to share the best information with the person and with the next person. This is what we got to do. That's where we go. I'll stop at that. I think I overshot my time.
Thank you very much. I think get the basics right. And that's a key message which I would take it. And also the other point is the responsibility lies with the principal. I think these are the two key takeaways from. Shyam, and I think probably we'll digress from whatever we have spoken so far. You are coming from a technology front. So we are talking about 5G, AI, all those stuff at this point of time, So how do you think, this is about in terms of the chemical transportation. How do you think this AI can play a role in terms of, I'm not going to use the word compliance. I'm just going to say in terms of, building efficiency to the process or whatever, whatever you think is right. So how do you think that AI can play a role for this?
Yeah, first of all,
you can just give one example.
First of all, good afternoon. I have 3 minutes, 50 seconds left, and I'm sure the most important question in all of your minds today, right now, is lunch mein main course mein kya hai? Is it Chinese or is it Mughlai? So I will quickly come to the point. Suddenly I feel I am back in school again, because school mein main jo bhi question ke liye tayari karta tha, syllabus change hota tha, and I would answer something else, completely the wrong answer. So Shankar has asked me and he has changed the syllabus completely. So he's taken me a little bit off guard from the questions, from the 2 questions that I prepared. So what I will do is, I will try to compile the thoughts of all the people who presented today, some of the data that I have written down, and I'll try to make sense of where we can go forward, as a group. The first thing with Praveen Prashant you mentioned was, currently chemical logistics industry is a $10 billion industry in India, currently, as of today. Out of which 70%, as Mr. Ravi mentioned, is for road transport only. That means we are talking of a total industry which is about $7 billion only for the road transport and logistics. Which is, we are talking of 8,000 crores of rupees spent only for road transport in the logistics business for the in the chemical industry. Now, 8,000 crores ko figure ek side mein rakho, and please connect the dots with the number of road accidents that are happening. Mr. Ravi mentioned earlier that 1.7 lakh road accidents happen every year, out of which 10% is for trucks. That means 17,000 accidents are happening only for commercial vehicles in 1 year, which is a mind-boggling figure of 1,500 per month, which is almost 50 deaths per day, 2 per minute. Soch ke dekho, 2 per hour. Just imagine what we are talking about. All that money which is spent in the logistics industry, and this is what we have to show. So while India is progressing as a country, while we have made giant strides in so many fronts, we are absolutely pathetic in terms of road safety. Road safety, many people spoke about driver training, many people spoke about so many things. The features in the vehicles are getting better, aerodynamic, tires are improving, brakes are improving. Fir bhi log mar kyun rahe hain itna? What is the problem? So obviously, as the old saying goes, guns don't kill people, the bullets do. So it's the people who drive these vehicles, as well as the pedestrians who are walking on the road, who are responsible for all these horrible statistics that India faces every year after year. So how do we solve this problem at the root itself? How do we address the driver who's sitting on the steering wheel, driving a vehicle which is worth carrying lakhs of cargo, and passengers or pedestrians, in his line of vision? How do we solve this problem? Training बहुत किया, फिर भी कुछ फायदा नहीं है, accidents होते जा रहे हैं. What we need is training plus constant monitoring. As Durga spoke earlier, monitoring of the devices through the AI methodology is the only way forward, because Indians unfortunately believe in being monitored. हम लोग को उतनी maturity नहीं आई है कि हमको पूरा freedom दे दो, we will carry out our task 100% with the utmost responsibility. No. We need that monitoring. We need the fear that somebody is looking over our shoulder, and that can only happen through AI devices, which registers and monitors your every move. Every mistake you make is registered as an alert. It goes not only to the driver on his mobile phone app, it also goes to the fleet manager who is monitoring, and immediately he will call the driver, boss, tu galat kar raha hai. So the device that we today have, the AI-induced devices, are actually your mitras, your friends, your transport partners who are talking to you as you are driving the vehicle. Believe me, some of the videos Durga could not show, but there was a guy talking on the mobile phone. As soon as he picks up the phone, it shows as a distracted alert, and within 11 seconds, he gets a message from his supervisor that you are speaking on the phone. He keeps the phone down. 38 seconds, the entire process took as he's driving the vehicle. 38 seconds. And in that 38 seconds, his mistake was found out. The safety of supervisor called him. He kept the phone down, and he's carrying cargo worth lakhs and lakhs of rupees. This is the only way forward. Monitoring, training, dono saath pe saath chalna chahiye. I guess that answers your question.
Thank you. Accident happens in a fraction of a second.